my name's Claire and today I thought I would tell you about the 12 books that I want to read in 2024. It is no surprise and no secret that I have a massive collection of books and unread books at that. I've probably been building this since 2016 and I guarantee you that there are books that I bought in 2016 that are still on these shelves unread. I wouldn't like to put kind of money on it or anything, but I am estimating that there are close to 300 books on my physical TBR, which is a lot of books. Because of that, there are a lot of books that I buy when I'm really excited about them. They get put on my shelf and they very swiftly get forgotten about. So this year I've kind of planned a list of ones that I've been really looking forward to. They've been on my shelf for a while. I think that's the case with the majority, all bar one. And the ones that I would like to get through this year as a priority. As a way of motivating myself, I've decided to start doing a savings challenge related to it. So for every physical book that I read off of my TBR, I will save £1, but for these specific books, these 12, I'm planning on saving £3. And all of this money is going to go towards a book buying spree, which kind of almost defeats the purpose of it a little bit, but I'm not going to be able to buy as many books as I will have read, so that's okay. But every Boxing Day, me and my friend Sophie go on a book buying spree around Glasgow, and I would like to have a little bit more money to put towards it by reading these books. So the first one on this list is one that I pre-ordered and I was really excited about it and have never read it despite it being quite a short book, and that is Near the Bone by Christina Henry. Like, it really is a short book in comparison to some of the other books on this in this TBR. This is not that big. This is a horror novel about a woman who ends up being stuck in a cabin, and it's described that she is stuck with more than one kind of monster. Because it's a horror, I don't want to know any more than that going into it, because I feel like the less you know, the more you enjoy it. So that is book one on the list. Now the next one, I am annoyed that I still haven't read it. I read the first book as an ARC and I loved it. I raved about it. I had loved the fact that I had got an early copy of a book that I was considering one of my favourite books, and I've never finished the series. And now all 3 books in the series are out, I really don't have an excuse. So that book is The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart. So this is book 2 in the series, obviously. There's one more after that. I do own both of them, obviously. It's a very pretty book. And I think that puts me off physically reading it because it's such a nice copy and I don't want to damage it. But this series follows Lynn, who is the Bone Shard Emperor's daughter, and she, in the first book, she is supposed to be getting trained up to take over from her father, but she really can't get a handle on the magic. The Bone Shard magic is very strange and unique in how it works, and it creates these constructs out of shards of bone that essentially run the government. It is the most strange thing, but it's very well done. So I need to get this book done even if it kills me. I have to get this off my TBR. The next one I have on the list is In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. This one was in an Illumicrate box a couple of years ago now, and again, super excited about it. Shelf, ignored. This book follows a character called Rowan who has magic that she's trying to hide from other people, because those of them who don't have magic in this world end up being supplied with an undead spirit to protect them but also control them. And I think her magic ends up getting found out. She gets assigned an undead spirit. She ends up in this palace magic and intrigue. I really don't know anything about this book, but it's not a long one. I'm trying to alternate having bigger books and smaller books on this TBR to make it more realistic. And the back of this says, she loves a princess, she's bound to a warrior, she must betray them both. And I just think it sounds so interesting, and this cover is very pretty. The most intimidating book in this stack, and the one that I am the most hesitant to pick up, is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. This book is the bane of my existence. I have tried to read this book previously and I think I only got about 30 pages in and I put it down, and that was mostly because I couldn't actually figure out what the best way to read this book is. So this book is told in like the weirdest format. Even just to kind of have a flick through it, it's excerpts from other books, it's scripts, there's a lot of footnotes, there are pages with next to nothing on them. I do not know where to start to read this. I believe that Kayla from Books and Lala read this and kind of said, I think she said there was 3 different ways in which you could read it. You could either just read the story, you could read the footnotes, or you could read them both together. And I can't for the life of me remember at this point what one she says was going to be best. But I need to do a bit of research on what is the best way to get through this book, because I am fascinated for it. It's a horror about a family who move into a house where the inside is bigger than the outside. The concept of it, so interesting, but putting into practice reading it, terrifying. So obviously, being a serial collector of books, there is a lot of series that I have accumulated or first books in the series, and I figured that I should put a couple of series on this list and start them, so then I know that if I don't like them I can unhaul them, and that clears up so much shelf space. So the first book I've put on the list is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I have only read Babel by this author and I loved it. I think she has such a way with words. She is incredibly well researched on her books, and I'm really excited about this given how highly these books get reviewed. But also, can we just take a minute and appreciate this edition, because it's absolutely beautiful. I don't know the most about this book, to be honest. All I know is that it's an epic military fantasy set in 20th century China, and it has magic within it. That's all I really know, that's all I want to know. I think I'm better not knowing too much going into this and just taking my time with it. But as I said, R.F. Kuang is incredible, and I really hope that I love this and that she will become one of my favourite authors. The other series that I'm planning to start this year is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This is like quite an old YA series at this point. I bought the whole trilogy in special editions because they were very pretty, and I never read them. And I want to say that was about 4 years ago that I bought these books, and they have been sitting on the shelf deserted for 4 years. Again, I don't know too much about this. I know that it's a YA fantasy and that it's set in Prague, and all I know is from the synopsis, if I remember rightly, is that black handprints are appearing on doors through winged creatures that are appearing through slits in the sky. And that's all I know. I didn't love Laini Taylor's other book that I read. It was Strange the Dreamer, I think I read before, and I just didn't vibe with it, but I don't know if it was that particular story or if it was Laini Taylor in general. So I'm going to read this and give it a go and make a decision once and for all on this author. The last series that I'm planning on starting for this challenge is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is the original copy that I have that I will be reading. As far as I'm aware, it's been re-edited and republished because it's been out for so long and Samantha Shannon was so young when this was first released. But I'm probably just going to stick with reading the copy that I have. All I know about this is that it's set in 2059 in London kind of area, and it follows Paige, who apparently is committing treason just by existing because she's like a dream walker, or I think like they class them as clairvoyants. She ends up being taken to Oxford and assigned a trainer in order to kind of overcome the world or something. I don't know, but again, it's been on the TBR for ages and I would like to get through it. I also, for some reason, own a copy of the 4th book in this series and the first one, and not books 2 and 3. Don't know how that happened, but it did, and I need to do something about it. So I either start this series and love it, or I start a series, I don't like it, and I unhaul both the books. If I'm going to be starting at least 3 series this year, I should really also get round to finishing some of the series that I have unfinished on my shelves. So the choice I've made for that is Crimson Rain by Amelie Wenzhou. This is the 3rd book in the Blood Heir trilogy, and I'm scared to pick this one up a little bit. First of all, the edges are beautiful. All of the edges on the books for the Illumicrate versions look like this, and I think they look really nice together. But this series is kind of an Anastasia retelling, which, like, one of my favourite animated movies, by the way. But this series follows Anna, who lives in this world where those with powers are called Aphanite, and the powers will control the world around them, and she has blood related powers. And in the 1st book, her father's murdered and she's the kind of the only suspect, and her plan is to try and find who her father's murderer is in order to kind of save herself. I remember really loving how the magic worked within this world, but the only issue is that although I loved book 1, book 2 did let me down a little bit. I am not one for giving up on a book or a series, so I really do want to get this read and get it off the list. An author that I have been so excited to read from that I still haven't read a single book from is Mona Awad. So I'm picking up All's Well this year. It's not particularly long again, so it shouldn't take me long to get through. But this book follows a college theatre director who has had a pretty tough time of it, but she really wants to put on All's Well, but something happens and she's kind of been ousted almost, and they want to put on Macbeth. And I love theatre in general, so theatre and books combined, and this really is the perfect recipe for a perfect book for me, so I've got very high hopes for this one. The last horror that I have on this list is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I own a couple of their books now, and again, still haven't read it. This book follows 4 American Indian men who end up, after a situation in their youth puts them in a fight for their lives. I have no idea anything else about it, but again, it's a horror, I don't want to know about it, so I'm just gonna read it. The next book is one that I didn't buy that long ago. I think I only bought it in December, but I knew that if I put it on this list, I would get it read, because if it goes on those shelves, it's going to get forgotten about for years. So that book is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I think I own most of Ava Reid's books again and haven't read them. This book follows Effie, who has always loved fairy stories and has this specific copy of a fairy tale that has always kept her sane. The author of this fairy stories, their family is wanting to kind of revamp their estate, and they put out a competition in order to do this, and Effie feels like it's her destiny. And again, it's a book about books. The cover is absolutely stunning and does have pages all over it. So again, very high hopes for this. And last but not least, the last book on this list is one that I am still kicking myself to this day that I haven't read, and it's potentially the biggest one on this list, and it is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. I pre-ordered this book so that I could have a special edition when it came out. I did not stop talking about this book and about how excited I was, and then it went on the shelves. So this is obviously a sci-fi, and it follows Kira, who during a routine inspection of an uncolonised planet finds this ancient alien relic and is absolutely delighted about it until the relic moves. This is another book that I will read this year even if it kills me, because I cannot continue to have this book to take up space, especially when I was so excited about it. This could be so good, and I did hear really good things about it when it first came out, and I need to read this. That is the 12 books that I am trying to make a priority this year. I'm not going to lift the stack because it's absolutely huge and I will break something. But please let me know what book you are most excited about or most intending to read this year. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!